course, the music cut off today. It's one of those days. How you folks doing today? Hope you're having a good week so far. Welcome to Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 29-year veteran writer, illustrator, and editor of comics, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games. Today is September 23rd, and that means that we have a comics review day. So let's go ahead and get into that real quick with Batman. The Adventures Continue, season number 2, number 4 for $3.99. Publisher is DC Comics. Writers are Alan Burnett and Paul Dini. The artist is Jordan Gibson. The colorist is Monica Cabina. The letterer is Josh Reed. And the cover artist is Rob Guillory. The genre is science, or superhero action adventure, rather. And it was released September 21st, 2021. And what it's about, Rupert Thorne has hired a hitman called The Muscle to take out Gotham PD detective Renee Montoya, and Batman has to try to protect her. The problem is, Montoya doesn't trust Batman, so he has to try to protect her as Bruce Wayne. Can he succeed? My thoughts are the issue was very well done, as always. The only current Bat book worth my time and money. However, I didn't remember Montoya being semi-anti-Batman. To my memory, she was always a fan, and it was her partner Crispin who didn't like Batman. But, you know, it's not like anybody's ever consistent with the project on a characterization. So you just kind of have to shrug it off and take it for what it is. In terms of the context of the story, how Montoya acts is consistent and plays out throughout the book properly, so I don't have a problem with it. It's recommended for ages 13 up. I gave it 4 stars. Let's take a look at some of the artwork here. I apologize for some of the glare of the scan. Did the best I could with it. Some of the way it scanned, it just had a lot of weird refraction off the light from my scanner. I don't know why. But overall, it's pretty good. I think Cabina, or not Cabina, but Gibson as the artist, played a little heavily on the blacks in this, and I think that affects the coloring a little bit. It looks good on the comic, but like on this scan, it has a lot of reflective qualities. That's why you see it's loud as black looks more of a grayish scale, because if I actually hit it all black, it would like mess up the way the color looks. So it looks good on the paper, but not necessarily on once you scanned it for the screen. It'd probably look all right if you got the actual digital files, though. Here's another situation. As Bruce, there was a scene where Bruce was escorting Montoya and her girlfriend in his limo, and he got injured with a concussion and a shoulder injury, and Montoya's in the hospital checking on Bruce, and her girlfriend gets kidnapped, and of course, with that situation, Montoya has to go try and figure it out, and Bruce has to leave the hospital and get back into the suit as Batman to try and help her. Like I say, one of the better better books that DC puts out. The only Batman book that I actually don't mind paying for and reading. Overall, 4 out of 5. It could have been a little bit better here and there, but it's solid. I wish that Burnett and Dini could take this formula and apply it to the regular Batman books. I might actually read it then, but you never know. Okay, our next book is Mercury Mouse, number 1 through 3. Publisher is Big Kahuna Media. The writer and illustrator is Larry Raines. As you can see, these are all autographed by Raines. I ordered these through Kickstarter. There's also an online webcomic, mercurymouse.com. These 3 issues were $21 plus shipping and handling. What it's about. Mousetropolis has a variety of villains, from the Carp King to the Rubberband Chameleon. Carp King is in number 1. I think you can tell who the Rubberband Chameleon is number 3. The second one I'll tell you about in a minute. But in each issue, Mercury faces off against these threats all the while trying to keep a secret identity attacked and hidden away from the cute new research assistant, Miss Stella, which you really don't get to see, but she's the one holding the gun on the cover of issue 2. What I think of it. The series has a nice overall tone. It obviously owes to Superman, the Shazam, Captain Marvel, and Mighty Mouse, but Reigns is still doing his own thing with it. It's a solid read that should appeal to fans of those characters, but also to those with young audiences who are unfamiliar with those characters. The issue 1 plot. Carp King robs a bank as Harvey is getting coffee at Ray's Diner a few blocks away. As people flee the scene, Harvey finds a place to transform into his heroic alter ego, Mercury Mouse, and then goes to confront the criminal. The police attempt to stop Carp King, but his armor deflects their firearms, and he seems unstoppable until Mercury Mouse swoops in and wallops him. But of course, the Carp King was expecting Mercury to show up, and he has a plan of retaliation. Carp King briefly gets the upper hand on Mercury, but Mercury breaks loose and takes the King down, and the police take him into custody. Mercury reverts back to his normal identity and rushes to work at Astro Labs, where we are introduced to Professor Wackadoo, his boss, and a new lab assistant, Miss Stella. Harvey is at first taken aback that Stella has been hired, but the professor talks some sense into him quickly. Stella seems to like Harvey, but he's oblivious. We then cut to the Fort Gouda Air Force Base, where someone is breaking in onto the base and into a hangar to steal a mechazide armor. And that's how they end issue 1. It's a reasonably well-done first issue. The primary characters are introduced, but not really explored yet. The art is clean and consistent. I'm not keen on the old paper effect on the printing. I'll show that in a minute. But that's a minor thing. It doesn't really adversely affect the story. The plot is simple and straightforward, but that's perfectly fine, as I would say that the story is geared for an ages 7 and up audience, so the comic doesn't exactly need to be plot heavy. Again, I recommend it for ages 7 and up. I give it 3.5 stars for the first issue. And here's the artwork. And you can kind of see this odd coloration in the panel borders that looks a little like off-colored brown, coffee stain brown. That's actually printed on the page. It looks like old weathered paper, and it just, I don't know. I think I know what Reigns was trying to go for, but it doesn't quite work with the modern coloring and the way it's done. I would have preferred he just kept it a normal flat white myself, but you know, he's consistent with it, so I'm not gonna run it. Like I said, it doesn't kill the book or anything. It's just it's just there. Very nice, clean artwork. We got Carp King breaking into the bank. And then Harvey's sitting at the diner bar picking up his coffee, which I think is kind of weird because he's got 3 cups here of coffee, but as far as he knows, later on the show or later on in the issue, he doesn't seem to know that a female's going to be replacing him, coming in as an assistant. So why does he have 3 cups of coffee there? But maybe he knew there was a new assistant, but he didn't know it was going to be her. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But it's interesting how he does different characters in different ways. Some of them are mice. Some of them, I don't know if they're mice or something else. Like Ray, the diner owner, he could be a mouse, but I don't know. It kind of looks like it could be a bear too, a little bit. So I don't know. Here's the transformation scene from Harvey to Mercury. He has a saying, kind of like Shazam, but it's kind of a whole thing. And I kind of wonder if he can change without saying it or not. That would be interesting if he was like, captured as Harvey and gagged. Could he transform to Mercury or not? Again, here are the cops shooting at him in the armor. Just the bullets bounce off. Ted Davies Artistry says, good evening. Hey, Ted, how are you? Hope you're doing well. I have watched some of your more recent stuff on your channel since you got back from California. Just didn't have much to say because there wasn't much to say. But congratulations on your options and your development for Retrieve, which is his comic book series that just got optioned and is in development for television or film. We'll see how it gets picked up in the future. The issue 2 plot is at the end of last issue, disgruntled inventor and criminal Dr. Killian snuck onto an Air Force base and stole a mechanoid armor robot called the Grasshopper. Killian used to be a colleague of Dr. Wackadoo. The military want Wackadoo and his assistants, Harvey, also known as Mercury Mouse, and Ms. Stella to find Killian and try to help them retrieve the weapon. The scientists realize Killian's armor is on a limited energy supply and has to charge it up at the Mousetropolis power plant. But if he succeeds getting power at the power plant, the armor may become unstoppable. Wackadoo, who knows Harvey is Mercury Mouse, tells him to go get their van, while Stella, who doesn't know that he's Mercury Mouse, to call the military and appraise them of their situation. Now, at this point, I thought that he was going to transform into Mercury and go ahead, but he doesn't. They actually, all three of them go on to the van, and they meet the military at the power plant, and Stella comes up with a plan to try to trick Killian and have the Grasshopper cross an oil slick to try and trip it up so that they can shoot it with a laser cannon. Wait, I thought they were trying not to destroy it. But of course, you can still shoot it with a laser beam and not destroy the armor. So, I mean, you can damage it without destroying it. So you can still retrieve it. So, okay. They just finished getting their trap set when Killian shows up and Harvey has to bail on them to transform into Mercury. Stella shoots the Grasshopper, but it seems to have the exact opposite effect of what they wanted. Apparently, it pushes the Grasshopper into the area where Killian can get the armor powered up, and it powers up. Fortunately, Mercury is able to overpower the robot and turn Killian over to the military. Of course, though, he then has to leave and turn back to Harvey and reappear as Harvey, who ran to the bathroom. When you gotta go, you gotta go. I hope that Stella will make the connection between Harvey and Mercury sooner rather than later. Yes, it's a cute throwback to the Superman Lois Lane dynamic when she didn't know he was Superman in the Golden and Silver Age, kind of. But that will get old real quick, even with younger audiences, I think. When I think of the book, the story flows well from issue number 1, but it does also stand on its own separate individual issue as well. It has a Golden and Silver Age sensibility, and again, the story is it's sort of simplistic and doesn't get into the details of Wackadoo and Killian's past that much. It's pretty straightforward with the action. I think older readers might want a little more meat on the bones in terms of plot, but for younger readers, it's fine. Again, recommended for ages 7 and up. It's a little bit better than the first issue, actually. I'll give it 4 out of 5. And here's some of the artwork. Killian's inside the armor. As you can see, it can withstand missile strikes from helicopters with shields. The armor's here to get to the power source. As you can see, here's the power source that he's going to try and charge the armor with on the left. Stella realizes Harvey's left. Harvey's, she's like, hey, where's Harvey? And she's holding the gun anyway, so why should she even care, in a way? But, you'll have to take the shot. I do like how he kind of flings his glasses off to the side. And he's kind of got this sort of, he's running so fast and transforming at the same time. The electrical charge looks kind of like how it comes off the Flash when he's running in this panel, and then he transforms into Mercury. Here's issue number 3. The police are investigating the latest of a series of break-ins at various businesses. This is a jewelry store in this particular scene at the beginning of the book, and they confront the villain of this issue, the rubber band chameleon. Mercury Mouse shows up to back up the cops and has a brief scuffle with the lizard, but the chameleon escapes and Mercury decides he needs to check on the injured officers. Cut to Killian being in court and denied bail. Stella and Wackadoo see this on the news, and Wackadoo gives a quick flashback recap of their past to give Killian more of a backstory and origin. Harvey shows up and announces that Stella has a visitor, her father Simeon, whom Wackadoo suspects has ulterior motives for his visit. And of course he does. Simeon is rich and is offering to open a new lab with Stella as the lead scientist, but Stella is insulted by this as she is proud of her work at Astro Labs and figures her father just wants to keep her under his thumb, so she rejects his offer and her dad leaves angrily. Next thing we get, we cut to Mousetrap Island prison, and the rubber band chameleon sneaks on the island, knocks out a guard, and releases the Carp King while Killian watches. Now, whether or not Killian actually gets released as well was not shown. But pretty cool storyline. There is also a backup story where the scientists try to run the diner for their friend Ray, who is ill, and have a typical experience of being overwhelmed as the store's ice cream machine gets broken, and Harvey has to switch to Mercury Mouse to try and get everything running smoothly and the customers served. I would say that the story is finally starting to fill out the characters and their histories, but because of that, it's also the first issue that you kind of need the previous issues to know who everything and everyone is and what everything's going on, whereas the first 2 issues you could read as standalone issues and still enjoy them as individual issues. Not that you can't enjoy issue 3, it would just be better if you knew what was going on before it. I think Rubber Band Chameleon is probably the best villain of the trio that have been shown so far, but I do like how it seems to be setting up to form a rogues gallery for Mercury Mouse and possibly as a supervillain team eventually. I recommend it for ages 7 and up, and I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Here's the fight scene between Mercury and Rubber Band Chameleon. I really love this thing. He gets hit, grabs a light pole, and springs back. It's kind of an interesting effect. So I do like that. I like some of the dialogue as well. It's like, don't throw such a hissy fit, and he's hissing at him. There's a few things, like if he's grabbing his tongue with his left hand, he really can't punch him that well, I don't think, in the next panel. But, little minor, I won't call him goose, but, Rain should probably look a little bit more carefully and think about the process of the movement of the action and stuff to get it more consistent, maybe a little bit. But overall, very well done, very entertaining, worth the money. Again, if you want to check out more, there's a lot more on the website. Again, that's mercurymouse.com. I think they got like the first 7 issues on the internet that you can read there. And they kickstart the collections as individual issues. Okay, our next book. Oh, yeah, one more artwork to show you. This is the second scene, the second part of the story, where the ice cream machine broke, and basically all Doctor Wackadoo does is ramp up the speed on it because it was working at the slower speed for some reason, which is not too smart. And so all of a sudden, it just keeps shooting out more and more ice cream to the point where they can't even get it out there to the customers. Um, and he's like, he doesn't know how to turn the machine off. It's like, unplug the machine if you can't turn it off. But who am I? Um, so they have to figure it out. Our next book is Monkeys Fighting Robots, number 3, the summer 2021 edition magazine. It is $10 by various writers and artists with news, essays, and comic strips as the magazine. You get it through Kickstarter. It was released on September 12th. Monkeys Fighting Robots features a variety of articles, essays, and comic strips in each magazine. In this edition, there are articles about Darwin Cook and Jack Kirby, political cartooning as both a concept and how the cancel culture in social media today is affecting things and has led to the death of the cartoonist, in terms of political cartooning, or even if you do any type of cartooning as outside of like comic book storytelling, where you might do newspaper cartoon panels or something like that. It might affect you adversely because if someone doesn't like your cartooning that way, they'll try and shut you down, which has happened a lot lately. So there's that. So they're talking about that. There's another article about the art of page layouts and storytelling, both in comics and commercial illustration, and there's other articles as well. This is just a really well done magazine about comics without being a show rag like Wizard or Hero Illustrated were back in the 90s. They don't really advertise a whole bunch of books. Their articles are done with a theme in mind, and they try to be more educational than trying to sell you on other people's products or their own products. Rating 4 out of 5. And as far as I know, this is the magazine. I don't think I scanned anything in. No, I did not. So let's go ahead and open that real quick. This is the cover for the winter edition on the back end. And then that launches November 1st for the Kickstarter for that. That's a cool looking cover. As you can see, there's articles about comics. They have Donald Duck, Uncle Scrooge, and the fallacy of the American dream, which is an interesting article. The durability in being a cartoonist. They've got some reading recommendations of different books. Tyler Boston art with page layouts. The fun and danger of political cartoons, which is about the cancel culture. Darwin Cook, mostly talking about his Parker work, but it's still generally good. Death of the Cartoonist, Avi Katz and Cancel Culture. Again, that kind of goes in hand in hand with the fun and danger of political cartooning and the durability of being a cartoonist. Then there's Jack Kirby, What's the Big Deal? That's really about a guy who's trying to introduce Jack Kirby to his kids, and they aren't really understanding the coolness of Jack Kirby at that time, which is pretty obvious for a lot of kids these days, or even teenagers, even young adults, might not see the qualities of Jack Kirby. He might look a little bit antiquated artistically to them compared to what they're used to seeing in today's modern illustrative work. So it's an article about the author trying to figure out what he sees in it and why, and being able to share that with his kids. So I think that's kind of a cool article as well. I'll show you some of their comic strips as well. Here's a comic book called Super Team, comic strip rather. And then there's another one I want to make sure I get. Here. There we go. That's where it starts. And that is little comic strips that are a few pages long each, telling different stories. Guy goes into a house and finds a woman. Turns out she's a vampire or a spider woman type being with teeth or something like that. All the spiders come out of it, flying out of the mouth like a locust flag or something, and they come to eat him alive, and he wakes up from his nightmare. It's called Unabridged Nightmare. Pretty cool little strip there. Then there's Asher's Quest, which is about he's a teen superhero whose girlfriend was stolen. Only it's not really his girlfriend. They think it's his girlfriend, and she's like, "Who are you?" You know, when he goes to try and rescue her, and they beat both of them up and leave them bleeding on the ground. So it's kind of a funny thing. Overall, definitely worth the $10. I know, Wizard, when it was out there, was a lot cheaper, a lot more pages. This only has like about 60, 64 pages, I think. Maybe a little bit less, I don't know. But as I said, Wizard and Heroes Illustrated and those type of magazines were basically advertising rags that, all the articles were hyping up a book or a project to make you want to buy, or it was actually like 2/3 of it was advertising space for people to pay for. This doesn't have any advertising in it like that. So I prefer that type of a magazine. Get more for your buck. Mm-hmm. Okay, our next project we reviewed tonight is called The Nebulizer. It's $10. This is a Kickstarter book. Creator publisher Brian Rodman. The genre is science fiction. It was released on September 10th. What it's about: a chronic asthmatic and his feisty AI-controlled nebulizer suit fight through a post-apocalyptic world filled with giant mutated allergens, searching for more of the asthmatic's albuterol supply before he runs out of medicine in his suit and dies. Oof, that's a heck of a storyline concept. What I think about it? Well, it's a quirky little SF comic with a neat concept. Rodman is an asthmatic himself, so he should know the limitations of what a character can and can't do, depending on the level of asthma one has. Overall, it's a very fun read. I do think the coloring gets a little bit garish in places, but he's consistent with his palette and color sensibilities, so I'd rather conclude that this is just the nature of the post-apocalyptic world that it's taking place in. But I do think this color palette would have been more appropriate for a color done in blacklight, and there are people who have done that. Most notably, Jim Rugg's Octobriana book was done in blacklight colors. Late last year, I think it was when it came out. And this would have been perfect for that kind of a similar approach, I think. But, it is what it is. I recommend it for ages 10 and up. I give it 3.5 stars. Let's take a look at some of that artwork. Mm-hmm. And they're in the middle of a fire. He's shooting these giant mutated allergen monsters. Now, I'm not really sure if the gun is like shooting laser or if it's shooting some sort of like spray cannon or something like that, which has the same kind of properties as what he seems to have within his suit, or what, because it looks like it could be like the gun's attached to his chest plate somehow, and like you see the same bluish tinge in the liquid that his body's kind of covered in, and then you see it being similar colored that way. So it's not quite clear on that, but it could be that, it could be something else. It just could be a laser. But overall, it's an interesting look. Another one comes at him, he shoots him, and as you can see, it's a hole right through the chest, and it dies. Again, it looks like the gun's separate now over here from a different angle. And again, it's angled different over here in this. So, either way, it's pretty cool looking. I wouldn't say Robin is the world's greatest artist, but you don't have to be the world's greatest artist to do an entertaining comic. So, I wouldn't say his artwork is off-putting as far as, I've seen, it's consistent in style. His storytelling is pretty straightforward. It's not hurting, so I'm not that worried about stylistically not maybe being as top-notch as some other people. He gets the job done, and that's what matters as far as storytelling is concerned. Our next book is Norse Mythology 2, number 4 for $3.99. The publisher is Dark Horse, written by Neil Gaiman and P. Craig Russell, art by P. Craig Russell and Mark Buckingham, with colors by Laverne Kinzierski and lettering by Galen Showman. This is the A cover, the primary cover that you're seeing. The genre is mythology fantasy, and is released September 22nd. And what this issue is about: Thor, Loki, and Thialfi, which is Thor's basically his assistant in this storyline, are challenged by the Utgard giants to various competitions where they are each of them bested. Afterwards, the leader tells them that he's really the giant that they met in the earlier issue, and that everything they just experienced was nothing but a trick of magic and illusions. As he explains what the trick was in each case and what each of the Asgardians actually did in reality and how he was impressed by it, Loki and Thialfi take it all in good spirits, but Thor seems to be a little bit bitter and resentful and doesn't want to let go of it, dwelling on the Midgard serpent, which he was asked to lift when he thought it was a giant cat. It was actually the Midgard serpent, and he actually lifted part of the Midgard serpent up. This is the variant cover by David Mack, and as you can see, that's the giant cat, which is actually an illusion. He's actually picking up the Midgard serpent. But it's a nice job, nice color cover. And this issue is always worth, not this issue, but this series is always worth the purchase. It's a cool issue, especially with all the reveals at the end. So I enjoyed it. Recommended for ages 13 and up. 4.5 stars. Here's some of the artwork. This is an illusion. This is the same giant that was in the earlier issues, just looking differently. Thor's bond servant, that's what Thialfi is. I kept calling him his assistant. He's a bond servant. But anyway, they go in through things. Each challenge. And Loki's challenge is to out-eat, out-consume whoever the giants bring in. So they bring a guy over, and, Loki eats everything in sight, but his opponent eats all the bones, all the trash, even eats the part of the trowel that the food came in on. So, as far as he's concerned, you lost because you didn't consume as much. Now, Thialfi's next challenge is he's going up against this other guy. And it turns out that he can't outrun the guy because that's not even a person. That's the entity of thought itself. You can't outrun thought. So he can't beat that one. And then again, of course, Thor has two different challenges. One is lifting the cat, and another one is drinking from a flagon, this giant flagon. And they say, "Oh, everyone can drink all of this. What can you do?" And he can't empty it. Well, the reason he can't empty it is because he's actually creating. There's so much stuff he's drinking that he's actually drinking the oceans in and out and causing tidal effects after it's explained. And I thought that was wild. That okay, he drinks so much that he's causing the oceans to cause tidal effects. That's wild. So it was a pretty cool storyline. Pretty cool issue. I enjoyed that. Our next book is called Stake, number 6. This is the last issue of the arc. It is $3.99 from Scout Comics. Writer is David A. Byrne. Artist is Francesca Fantina. Letters by Joel Rodriguez. Is horror genre, released September 22nd. It is mature readers. I don't know why I have it in 2 different sections, but I do. But anyway, what it's about. Parla Italiana. Angel's quest takes her to the canals of Venice, Italy. Alone in a foreign land, she finds herself close tracking down one of Ashwin's goon squad, but has her training been enough if she does find him? Well, my thought is, thankfully the storyline's over with. Don't get me wrong, it didn't suck, vampires notwithstanding. I just lost the interest in this story about 2 issues ago. So I don't have much else to add. It's a respectable issue. It's a 3 out of 5. It's just middle of the road book. I'm not going to really show any artwork for it or anything like that. But it's if you've been reading it, you're not going to be disappointed. If you haven't been, you're not missing much. That's pretty much all I got to say on that one. Pop Culture Avenger says, "Hey Raven, hello Midnight." Midnight's not here. He's downstairs. I don't know whether he's sleeping in his chair or sleeping at the foot of my dad's recliner, but that's where he's at. But yeah, that's pretty much all the reviews for tonight, but we got a lot more to talk about. I did also get this week dose number 3. And I haven't read it yet. That's why I didn't review it. I don't think I'm going to review it after looking through it. It's a little bit too mature readers for me to really want to discuss it too much. Plus, I reviewed issues 1 and 2, and a lot of people didn't seem to care about that issue or that title, so I'm not going to talk too much about that one. I also got our previews for the month on this week. That came out yesterday. And it has the new Cowboy Bebop based on the live action adaptation that's going to be coming out through, I believe, Netflix. Netflix. So that's that. Haven't had a chance to go through all of that. I will talk about this on Monday, where I get to go through all the review book of that and the Marvel and DC releases as well. But what I have gone through, it looks like a very slim month, which is kind of weird. Did you get Grimm 101 from Ted? Yes, I did, and I reviewed it already. Book is very well done. Enjoyed it quite a bit. I was kind of thinking when Ted said he had a announcement to make after coming back from California, I was thinking that he had gotten Grimm 101 also picked up. That's what I was kind of expecting. So when he came back and had his announcement, I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit like, and I already knew you had the other stuff going on, but that was just me a little bit. But I'm sure if the Retrieve does well, and I'm sure it will, that with any luck, the production company that just picked up and is developing Retrieve will also develop Grimm and maybe even Albino Zulu. We'll see. But one step at a time. We can't rush into things. Okay. Now, Saturday, I will be doing my media review, I guess you could say, film and television review. We're going to be reviewing the 2018 film Mortal Engines. We probably will have a live draw sometime this weekend, Saturday or Sunday. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, that would be great for Ted, and I hope he achieves that. Of course, if he does, he'll be too busy to talk to us. We'll see what happens. But one step at a time, like I said. This weekend, again, a live draw, and Saturday we'll do an episode reviewing Mortal Engines. On Monday, we will cover the previews. And also, I'll have season 4, episode 2 of Quoth the Raven, the thematic episodes. We're going to probably talk a little bit about some of the things I've seen on YouTube from different people that are kind of annoying me a little bit. Some of the presumptions that are being made. I'm going to address some of that stuff. I'm going to try and be not go into rant mode, just address it and give some insight as to why things are and why I think these people who are making the comments are not thinking things through. So we'll see. I have to watch the whole videos of these people's comments and make sure I get the context, everything right from what I think they're saying versus what they might be saying. So I'll have to sit through some long videos. I really don't want to, but I got to. So that'll be done probably on Monday as well, or maybe Tuesday for next week. And that's all the stuff we've got going on for the foreseeable future. We're going to try and get things set up on the show where I'm going to start doing what we call quick bites, where I just review one trade or one collection at a time per episode. So that might last maybe 5 to 15 minutes talking about each book, and do it that way rather than have a bunch of them that take a long period of time. See how people think about that format. And that'll probably start either next week or the week after. So it depends on how quickly I can get those done. So that's what's going on with the channel in the future. So did I start the episode early enough today, Pop? Or were you watching Professionals? Oh, you just got in from dinner. Okay. Well, I hope your dinner was better than mine. Mine was not too good today. I tried something new. It was supposed to be Korean barbecue tacos. And the instructions said you could cook it with hamburger meat, and it just didn't come out very well. I didn't think. My dad didn't particularly care for it either. I think it would be a lot better if I try it again. I'll make it with shredded chicken instead, or maybe shredded beef. but hamburger didn't work at all. It's a little bit too, I don't know what it was, just didn't taste very good. But I mean, it was edible. It wasn't, the worst thing in the world. So I've had better though. But yeah, it's been a fun thing. I know I haven't been on a lot lately. Trying to get what was supposed to be the opening sequence for the intro for the show done, and it's still not ready. So I'm disappointed in that. But we're gonna have different intros for different things, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, Saturday we'll have the cool intro done for the TV movie talk. So, if you guys like this video or you think others might, please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get support from this, get content from this channel. As always, I thank you for watching. But I got things I got to get done. I got stuff to read and get content ready for this weekend. So I will see you guys soon. If you want to reach me, Facebook, Lewis.BrightRaven, and Twitter at LewisBrightRave2. You can see my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You're watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, exclusively on YouTube. If you have questions or suggestions about topics to talk about, or you want to commission me for artwork, try to reach me at quothetheravenlbr72@gmail.com. Usually I will reply privately, or if you want something answered on air, I can answer it on air. But if you don't hear back from me, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.